The Sci-Forror Film Podcast. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Sci-Forror Film Podcast. I am Andy Walker and I am, as always, joined by my son Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello there. I wonder what you were going to say then. That I am all.
Yeah, I wondered what I was going to say then as well. So yes, this is week 2 of the new season.
You're not going to say what season it is this time?
Season 4. Season 4. Get it right. Season 4, episode 2 of the Sci-Fi Film Podcast. Anyway, how are you, young Scotty man?
Oh, I am. Okay.
Okay.
That's a bit me tongue. I was okay until obviously for people listening to this and I know this, but people watching this and knows, I have realised that I have a grey spot in my beard, right in the middle of my chin.
It's not just something you were eating earlier that's dripped.
No, I made sure it's really bugging me, and I know I've had grey hair for a while. That's not a problem. I can deal with that. But
Yeah.
I've really thought that at the age of almost 32, my beard would have stayed a bit more brown than it is. But the fact that I've got grey streaks on the sides of it and never in the middle.
I must admit, I need to trim myself up a bit. I'm trying to work out what to do. I feel fancy doing something different this time rather than just having a go. I'm thinking of shaving that bit out and just leaving the
doing like mutton chops.
Yeah. I think I'd look like Colonel K, the guy in charge on Danger Mouse.
Oh yes. Well, you do keep calling me Penfold, so
yes, yes. Anyway, enough of this. Let's get on with things. So this week we have 2 short films and a feature film. As always, well, not as always, but as at the moment.
As always, so far on this series.
Yeah. So we're going to start off with a science fiction short film from 2013. It's a film called Merv. It's Little Dragon Pictures. Producer, director, and writer was Matt Innes. A producer and co-writer was Stephen Waller. Director of photography Ash Mackenzie. Producer Melissa Dodds. And the cast is Stephen Waller and Maggie Watts. The synopsis says, after the end of the world, Merv's life in the lonely wastes is comfortably boring until an unexpected signal heralds the coming of a stranger. So this is a post-apocalyptic thing, and it's a New Zealand film, which is something I don't think we've done a New Zealand one before. I think we've done Australian, but I'm not sure we've done New Zealand.
Trying to think, actually, I was still going to say not even not a short thing, but I don't actually think we've done a feature one either.
No, I don't know.
That's a good point. I don't think this might be a first.
Yeah. So, what did you think?
I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
It's just it was very once again it's just said on previous seasons the fact that it's a very good use of a very good film without any speech in it.
Yeah.
The fact it just proves the fact you don't need like overly complicated speeches and stuff like that or dialogue to make a good film is amazing. And I like the sort of set designs of everything and Especially when he's in the sort of little bunker, the sort of simplicity of it. But I liked a lot of the camera angles and sort of, but the bit that done me, and I was a very big fan of this film anyway. And then when he meets the first person and sort of then starts panicking, and he's sitting in his room just playing the little music box toy thing that he found, and
Yeah,
I just that sold me. I just thought that was the best bit of it. And like
oh,
sort of afterwards, he sort of after he scares him away, he just sort of goes to sleep to a little kid's toy.
yeah. I think this is fantastic. I love this film. It's got a great look. The look is brilliant. The weird thing is that kind of like it's a strange thing when you don't see him as a human because he's wearing the sort of hazmat outfit and all that sort
Yeah,
of. It looks like it could almost be animated
yeah,
the way it's done. It's really cleverly done. Um, I think the idea is fantastic and the acting is really brilliant, and it just works so well.
it
Works
does.
so well
Yeah,
as a film.
it does. I agree with you. The things that like as well, it's just the fact, like we said before, it's the post-apocalyptic films, especially for sci-fi, have been done so many times. But I think this is such a great way of doing it. It's
Yeah,
so like it's I don't. It's obviously not meant to be funny. It's meant to have like a bit of an emotional thing to it, but it had that sort of that lightness to it to not make it so it's all like it's really intense and everything like that.
it,
It was that it made it more enjoyable.
it makes a nice change to see a post-apocalyptic film that isn't just full of nutters trying to kill each other.
Yeah. Oh, it's weird as well seeing a post-apocalyptic film where people are wearing normal clothes.
Yeah, I suppose.
You think a lot of sort of post-apocalyptic things, especially Mad Max, they
Yeah,
did it all. They sort of went from wearing normal clothes to wearing little as possible, basically. And it's
yeah.
just it's weird.
It's a bit odd, I must admit. I don't know, but it's a great little film, and I think it's I don't know. I don't know what to say about it really.
It's,
it's one of those films where I don't think there's a lot you can say about it because it's fairly simplistic, but it's really good.
yeah, it's this is that. It's it's exactly that. It's like sort of a very simply idea to put across, and but it's done so well.
Yeah,
It's such a great film. So it's weird to actually sort of sit there and go, yeah, it's a great film, but it's easy to do that. But this one it's very hard to do that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a great film.
There wasn't anything about it that I don't think worked or
No,
that didn't fit at all. It's brilliantly done.
yeah,
I the weird thing is I couldn't find a lot of other stuff by them
no.
on YouTube anywhere, so I don't know what else they've done. I'll have
If
to
this
see
is
if I'll have to dig into it a bit more and see what I can find.
Yeah, so if this is like one of their first ones they've done or whatever, that is a great stepping stone to go further.
To be honest, if it's the only film they've ever made, it's just got a really
Yeah,
great film to leave behind. But yeah, I will definitely have to look into it and see if there's anything more out there by then.
yeah.
But definitely a film worth checking out and worth watching.
Definitely a film worth checking out. And I think if they do proceed and go further and what things, I think it's definitely a company to keep an
I
eye
mean,
on.
it's what it's 10 years old now. The film, so I suppose
Yeah,
I suppose they probably have, but I don't know. We'll have a look and see. Okay, so the second film is horror. Yeah, it's called Something Strange. It's from 2016 from Lisbon Films, and it's a film made by Dominic Krupp. I get the feeling that it was kind of done in lockdown or whatever, because there's only two people in it, and it's a
yeah.
pretty simple sort of film to make. And the synopsis of it is just beware the puzzled man. Um, I mean,
That was well timed. Sorry.
it's very short. So that's the cat up on the side trying to find if there's anything to eat anywhere. Uh, I mean, it's a short film.
Yes,
Even for our short film, it's a short film.
yes.
Um, and the title, the thing that the puzzled man comes from the fact that that's the book that she's reading right at the beginning.
Yeah.
The story that she's reading in the book is The Puzzled Man.
Yeah.
Um, it's okay. It's not badly made. The acting's okay. There's a kind of good jump scare at the end that I
Yeah.
wasn't quite expecting, but it's not. There's nothing completely original about it.
No, I mean, there's a few good moments, like the sort of the blending into the next bit to find things and whatever. And I think was
Yeah,
that was okayly done. But yeah, it's not an original idea, and it's not the best in the world.
no,
It's a good. Don't get me wrong, it's a good film, but it's not
yeah,
one that I'm. It's not one that I'm sort of very highly sort of raving about.
no. I mean, it's okay. It's an okay film, and it's well made, but it's not really got a great deal going. The jump scare bit at the end, I was quite impressed with because of the fact it was a little bit unexpected. It wasn't what I was expecting to happen, so it was
Yeah,
quite a good thing. But it's nothing new and nothing. There was nothing special about this film really, apart
no,
nothing that sort of stood out from any other film with jump scares in.
yeah. It's to say it's not an original idea, and it's not. It's weird. It's like I was saying with like it's not an original idea, but they're normally unique. But this is sort of it's been done a lot, and I feel like they could have made it a lot better.
Yeah, I think they could have made it a bit more involved.
Yeah, as I said,
Been a
if
little
it
bit
was just
longer and they'd have done a few more things, it might have been better.
yeah, I'd say if it was purely for the fact that it was filmed and during the time when everything was going on, there wasn't a lot of ability to have a lot of people around to do stuff like that, then fine. Then it's an okay film. If that's the reason, then it sort of makes up for it a bit. But if it's not, then it's I don't know. It just sort of it feels like it's lacking something.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I just don't think it quite. I think, as I say, if it had been a little bit longer and a little bit more involved, it might have been better.
Yeah,
But it's difficult to tell, really. Still, I mean, if you have a watch, because I mean, some people like those sort of short jump scare type films, and that's their kind of thing. And I'm not going to put it down because of that.
no, I agree with you. It's definitely someone. There's definitely people out there that don't like it. It's not massively my cup of tea, but
No,
it's an okay film.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So on to our feature film now. This feature film is a 2016 science fiction film from Paramount Pictures called Arrival.
Yeah.
The director for this is Denis Villeneuve, who did some TV shorts and things like that in the 90s and the 2000s. He is mainly known and responsible for Blade Runner 2049 in 2017 and Dune in 2021.
I love the fact that he was responsible for.
Yeah, the writers are now Ted Chiang, who wrote the actual story. He's not really done anything else in the horror or sci-fi
Okay.
genre, or not film-wise or anything like that. He may
Yeah.
have written other stories, but they just haven't been made into films. I don't know. The screenplay was written with Ted Chiang and Eric Heisserer, who did some TVs and shorts work in the 2000s and 2020s. He also wrote the screenplay for Nightmare on Elm Street, the 2010 version, Final Destination 5 in 2011, The Thing in 2011, Lights Out 2016, Extinction in 2018, but he was uncredited on that, Bird Box in 2018, and Bloodshot in 2020. So some decent films there.
Yeah.
Now, the cast, we have Amy Adams, who did some TV and short stuff in the 2000s. She was in Psycho Beach Party in 2000, Man of Steel in 2013, Her in 2013, Batman versus Superman in 2016, and Justice League in 2017. And we have Jeremy Renner,
Yes.
uh, TV and shorts in 90s, 2000, and 2020s. He was in 28 Weeks Later in 2007. He was in Thor 2011. Thor in 2011, but he was uncredited because he wasn't actually. It was just a kind of cameo.
Yeah, he was sitting in the distance. He wasn't.
Yeah. Avengers or Avengers Assemble, depending on where you are and what's going on. In 2012, Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters in 2013. Avengers Age of Ultron in 2015, Captain America Civil War in 2016, and Avengers Endgame in 2019. He, of course, played Hawkeye
Yes.
in the Avengers films. Then we have Forrest Whitaker, who did some TV and short stuff in the 80s, 2010s, and the 2020s. He was in Body Snatchers in 1993, Species 1995, Phenomenon 1996, Battlefield Earth, the year 2000. Why? I don't know.
Why he was in it, or why they made that film?
Both. The Marsh in 2006, Repo Man in 2010, Repentance in 2013, Rogue One, a Star Wars story in 2016, Black Panther in 2018, and How It Ends in 2018.
Yeah.
And we have Michael Stuhlbarg, who didn't do any TV and shorts work, which is unusual. He was in Men in Black 3 in 2012, Doctor Strange 2016, The Shape of Water 2017, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in 2022, and Bones and All in 2022. So that's really, they're all the main characters.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's kind of like they're not, half of them aren't named and they don't really do much. The synopsis for this film is: a linguist works with the military to communicate with alien life forms after 12 mysterious spacecraft appear around the world.
Yeah.
Now, that is a very, very simplistic
Yeah. To be honest,
synopsis.
that is the simplest synopsis you could have of this film.
What did you think?
I'm still trying to get my head around it. Actually, now I I did love this film. I love a lot of like the special effects of it, the um like the sort of the camera work, sound, everything like that. I loved the science behind it, both the actual science and the um linguistic side of it. I think was just amazingly done. It was a bit confusing to start with, just sort of what you would see in flashing backwards and forwards.
That's right. It was confusing to start with.
Oh no, no, I'm not lying. Okay,
It was
it
confusing
was
pretty much all
confusing
the
by
way
the end as well,
through.
but it sort of explains a bit more as it gets to the end. It doesn't explain why it doesn't become less complicated, but
True.
it makes a bit more sense. But I'm saying I think this is an amazing film. It's another one where it's a sci-fi, great sci-fi film where there's not a lot of actual like over the top sci-fi to it. Even though it's about aliens and it's about
Yeah.
the things, it's not like futuristic stuff. It's not like all technology and stuff like that. It was just about aliens, but the rest of it was how the human race would deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, what I liked about it was the whole the reaction of the human race to it, and the way that different countries dealt with their
Yeah,
reaction to it, that sort of thing, was really interesting. I mean, obviously it's made from an American viewpoint, so
yeah,
obviously the Americans are shown as being the good guys, which is always going to be the way. But no, I really I love this film. And the thing I like about it is the things I've read about this film and the things discussions I've seen people have about this film remind me a lot of the things that people were saying about and people have said about over the years, 2001.
yeah,
Because it's a very ambiguous sort of thing of what it is that the aliens actually want us to do.
yeah,
And, why they picked on her particularly and unraveled her life
yeah,
for her to show her past, present, and future, and all this kind of thing. And it kind of, there's a lot of things about it that you, by the end of it, you're left with just as many questions as you've got answers.
Yeah,
And I love that. I love the fact that it's like that. And as you say, there isn't that much hard sci-fi in it as such. But
no,
the only thing I still cannot get over is the fact that no matter what I do, no matter what happens, right, the aliens in the tank that she talks to look like somebody doing that with their hand.
yeah. It does resemble Thing quite a lot, and it doesn't help either when they sort of you see a big them because when you start off, all you see is like what would be like your hand on the table, like that sort
Yeah,
of thing. That's it. So you can only see it from like the wrist down, basically.
yeah,
And so, but even then, a bit later on, you see like a bit more of it, and it does. Just, I do agree. With you. It looks like you know, when, like, for anyone that doesn't know, obviously in an American audience stuff like that, but like when we went to London Dungeon, they had them false hands.
yes,
So obviously for other people that are saying as well, you can get false limbs and like plastic ones, mainly for use for Halloween and stuff like that. But they've got like the little bit of bone sticking out.
yeah,
That's what it looked like someone had gone, "I'd make a really cool alien."
yeah. I mean, that was the only thing for me is that it did look like somebody just looked like doing that. You can almost imagine at a planning meeting, it's like, right, we get these aliens with tentacles, it's like standing up and walking around like that. And it's went, yeah, that'll do. We'll do that.
Yeah, it was. It basically. I loved as well the fact that they got this any name they could have picked for these aliens to
Yeah.
recognise them for. They went with Albert and Costello.
Abbott and Costello, yeah,
I thought that was hilarious. But it's the thing is that like we said though, it's the way that this film grows on a lot about how the human race would react if anything like this had happened,
yeah,
and it is one of the things that sort of it's almost that sort of slap in the face to a lot of governments where they go, "Yeah, we share everything. We know exactly what's going on in the world," and then when
yeah.
they do stuff like this and go, "You don't,"
But it's
because no
also,
one's going to share exactly what they've got going on in case it takes something away from what they could gain.
it's also what I like about it is that it was kind of there was kind of the reaction that you get if you watch the old 1950s sci-fi movie, you watch things like The Day the Earth Stood Still. There's
Yeah,
this reaction of like, right, what we do is we put loads of tanks up and we're going to fire at them.
yeah,
Now, it's that kind of knee-jerk reaction that the human race have before they know anything about what they're dealing with. Their first reaction is, it must be hostile, so we will attack it.
yeah.
You
It's
know,
this. It's the thing. Is this? It's one of them things of. Is that sort of that funny thing of everyone like so it's basically like you said like like the way the Earth stills when they sit there and say, oh, what do we do with it? And then someone turns around and says, why don't we try and talk to it?
yeah,
It's just one of the things. It's sort of yeah, that's a good point. Why wouldn't you try that?
yeah.
Like you don't walk into a room straight away and meet new people and just automatically go, I'm gonna shoot every single one of you.
Well,
You walk. Oh, okay, yeah, certain people, but yeah, it's sort of
yeah, no,
it's not that thing where you walk into say like even if a business meeting or something like that, you don't walk in and as hostile towards everyone. You open up that line of
I mean,
communication.
even if you were to view it, so let's say you had a farm
Yeah,
and somebody came onto your land trespassing, yeah, you might have a gun with you or something like that, but you go out and say, who are you? What do you want?
yeah.
You don't just go out and shoot at them.
No, there is that. It's one of the things. I just think it's funny that for me near the end of I say near the end. It's about halfway through. She's given you sort of given the realization she understand the realization that she has about what she's been given and
Right.
what's going on and the understanding of what she's seeing and everything like that. And for me, I think by the end of it, it left me with one of the biggest questions that I had on this I've ever watched in any film, especially since becoming a parent myself, which is would you change that if you knew? Now, she says about the fact she had the whole thing that she has a child, grows
Yeah.
up, and he ends up with this terminal illness, loses her daughter.
Yeah.
Now, if you were given the ability to see that happen, knowing the fact that if you had a daughter or had a child that they were going to fall ill, but also knowing that if you did, that it would then save the rest of humanity or would save stuff that's going on. would you go down that route? Would you go through that heartache? Would you go through that thing on the
Uh,
chance that it could benefit you in the future?
it's the problem. I
Or
mean, that's that sort
yeah,
of yeah, it's that decision
I
that
just I sat there after and I was like, do you know what? A few years ago, I say a few years ago, 15 years ago, I think
mm,
my choice would have been slightly different.
yeah. No, yeah, I think it
But
does make a difference if you got your
yeah,
own
sort of,
choice.
especially now, sort of seeing the way that my two are, and I'm like, do you know what? If I could go back, so the whole thing, if you could go back in time, would you change things that have gone on? And it's like I would maybe when I first had them because of how young I was, then I might have gone, I might have waited.
Mm,
But now I sort of sit there and go, you know what? I wouldn't change anything for the world because they made me what I am.
yeah. No, I know
But
what
to
you
sort
mean.
of sit there and have to sort of have that knowledge of knowing that you either tell your partner you know what's going to happen, and it runs the risk or runs the timeline that they said is going to happen, or you know that that's going to happen, so you then don't say anything.
Yeah,
And it's sort of I like the fact that it wasn't like it was yeah, okay, yeah, there was some to do with time in it, but it wasn't that whole this is what's set in stone. It
yeah,
was them the sort of that ability to see what was gonna might happen,
yeah.
and I just think it's such a great film.
It is a great film. The story is incredible. I really would like to read the original book and find out what that's like. See, because 9 times out of 10, when you watch a film, the story gets made slightly more simple, if you like, or slightly
Yeah,
less complex to enable it to be fit into a film.
yeah.
But if that's true, that must be a hell of a book.
What's the thing is as well? The thing is, that, I don't know. I agree with you about I would love to read it purely for the fact that I would like to know whether or not the aliens and their crafts were um, described as the way they were, or if, like you said, if it was just the fact that there was someone in this meeting that did the whole thing with a hand, and then someone was sitting there going, "Right, we need an idea for their ships." Then and was holding a Pringle at the time because that is exactly what their ships look like.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
It's just one of the things. Sandy had great moments in it, and then it sat there like with the bits like the aliens, like the ships, and I was like, I get the fact that you want to put a lot more thought into everything else, but that just looks like someone's gone. What's one of them? Like done the whole like spider
yeah,
across the hand thing. It's just like
yeah.
it's
No, but
just
I mean, no, I do, I accept that, and I was the, it's not. But the thing is, I could get past it. It was just sort of like it was just a
oh yeah,
momentary sort of like, oh, that's quite funny. Um, what I found interesting in this film was two things. One was the very up close, almost like claustrophobic camera work for some of it, with like real close ups of the
yeah,
people. Um, and the other thing was that got me was the fact that Jeremy Renner he's been in a lot of films and he's done a lot of work and that sort of thing, and he's quite a well-known actor. When this came out, he was quite, he was
yes.
really quite a well-known actor, and yet he really doesn't do or say that much
No,
most of the
he's
film.
it's weird, especially as he plays this theoretical physicist that's meant to be quite a big part in what they're doing.
Yeah,
He's really sort of to be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that it was Jeremy Renner, you would say an extra could have done it.
yeah, it's
It's
very strange,
like
but
sort of the soldiers that sort of get a bit corrupted by the news had a bigger part, really.
yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I couldn't imagine anybody else playing that part though,
No, I've got
which
to
is
admit it. It's
daft.
nice to see. It is nice to see him playing a role that isn't action based as well. Like it sort of opens him up. Like a
Yeah,
lot, a lot of the films I've seen him in, like he's like you think he's done all the Avengers films. He's done like all the stuff like he's done Tag. All the stuff that he's in
he
is
did
all
one.
big.
He was in one of the Bourne films as well, wasn't
Yeah, he's shown us this big action star,
he?
but to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this film where yeah, okay, it's a sci-fi action film. That's what it's described as. But the fact is, actually, he's playing the nerd, basically the one that's. Oh, it's not even that. He's actually playing a supporting role in it, and
Well, I
it's
mean, what I think I liked about this as well is it's not that big an action film. It's more of a sort of it's a very thoughtful film and a very kind of
Yeah,
wordy film, and I was surprised that it was as popular with sci-fi audiences as it was, because a lot of the time they get a bit funny with films that haven't got a lot of
yeah,
stuff going on all the time.
yeah. It's you feel even that is the fact that the sci-fi audience out of a lot of the genre things is so easy to divide.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
think like the horror genre, like sort of big horror fans. It's yeah, okay. They're either sort of you're in one side or the other of it. But with
yeah,
sci-fi, it is so easy to divide the genre people that are in it
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
love it so much that to then have a film where majority have gone, that's not a bad film actually, is amazingly done.
And the thing about it, the thing as well I like about it is the fact that I sat and watched it. It didn't feel like it was overly long. It felt just about right. And then when I got to the end of it, I kind of like thought, you know, I actually enjoyed watching it.
Mm. So I agree with you. And the film's what 2 hours, almost 2 hours long,
Yeah,
and the fact that I sat there and it got to, I bought it on the halfway bit because I needed the loot. And I thought, I was like, oh, I've only been watching this a little while, not a problem. And then Paul said, like, I've been watching it for an hour, and it didn't feel like it. Like
yeah,
it was kept me engrossed and intrigued so much that them 2 hours didn't feel like 2 hours at all. And it
no,
wasn't I sat there at the end of it and just went, that was wasted. It genuinely made me enjoy watching the film.
yeah. I think it's a really good film and really worth watching, especially because it's something different and it's not the same old science fiction thing.
Yeah,
And as I say, it strikes me as having the same sort of intrigue about it that 2001 had when that originally came out. That kind of s- strangeness about the ending and everything that was going on at the end, which made you think, well, what was that all about? What was,
yeah.
what's going on? So
Especially when you have the whole bit of the aliens. They obviously been on a planet because they needed humanity's help, but
yeah,
not actually explain why or what was going to happen
no, but it's
and
human. Well,
why.
need humanity's help in 3,000 years.
Yeah, and why they needed to come together then. Unless, like you said, like they showed it, is the fact that humanity as a whole is so divided
Yeah,
because of the fact that is everyone looks at it as, oh, you're English, you're German, you're French, instead of
but it's.
saying you're a human being.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think they have, but I would be interested to see what they would do with a follow up.
Yeah,
How they would, you know, bring it back together so that we actually help them in 3,000 years. But my problem with it would be it wouldn't be the same sort of film. And it would. I don't think it would
yeah.
be as good. So I don't. I kind of do want to know, but I don't.
Well, it's the thing yeah, I agree with it, but it's also one of them films that I think it has that option of it could be followed up and run the risk of being one of the sort of many films where the sequel is just atrocious,
Yeah,
or it
true.
could be very, very good. But I think it's also one of the few films where it is great as a standalone film.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And maybe at some point in the future they might make a follow up to it, but I don't know. I'm
Maybe that's what it is. The aliens come to the planet so that in 3,000 years' time they could make a
they can
follow
make
up.
a follow up film. Yeah, I'm not sure that's really mm. Right. So anyway, that's there you go. No, but yeah. So there we go. So the first of our short films was Merv, which we both agreed was a brilliant film, really worth watching. Definitely go and watch that.
Yeah,
Then Something Strange, which we didn't actually find that great, but go and watch it and let us know what you think, because we're not always right about things. In fact,
sometimes we're left.
sometimes we're left and sometimes we're indifferent. Uh, and then Arrival, which we both think was a brilliant film and
Is
definitely worth a watch. It's definitely worth taking 2 hours out of your time and just sitting down and enjoying it.
I will say for anyone though that if you are going to watch it, it's not a one that you can put on in the background and
No,
watch. It's not one that
you got
you do. Yeah, it's not one to watch when you've got like a few friends around having like. It's one you need to pay attention
you
to.
need to pay attention to it. Yeah,
Otherwise, you will get lost very quickly.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, Scott. Next week we will see what we're doing next week. I don't know. Maybe the same again, 2 shorts and a long. Maybe something different. Who can tell? Nobody knows. Round and round it goes. Nobody knows where it stops, and all that kind of thing. During the meanwhile, for those of you who are interested, the Romford Horror Film Festival is on the last weekend in February.
Yep.
You can catch get the information online. They have Facebook's page. They are on Instagram, and they are online just as the Romford Horror Film Festival. And the dates for it are where are we? Oh, the 23rd to the 26th. Now, 23rd is mainly it's a meet and greet night with a kind of one film and that sort of thing. But the main part of the festival is from the 24th, which is Friday, to the 26th of February. Loads of short films. There'll be some. There's always some good full-length feature films. Quite often, some good documentaries and things like that on there. And there will be awards given, and there are also this year there's going to be the same as there was last year. There will be stalls in there selling artwork, magazines, comics, books, all sorts of things like that to do with horror. And it's just a great atmosphere because of the fact that it's a full weekend where people come together to celebrate horror in all of its many different forms.
Yes.
So definitely worth a check. It's in Romford in the Mercury Shopping Mall, upstairs in the Premier Cinema. So it's easy enough to find. But as I say, check them out on Instagram and Facebook and book your ticket, because as far as I know, there's still some available. So
even if all you want to do, and I know this is probably me being very big-headed on me, but even if all you want to do is come watch a few films and come and meet us, we will both be there.
that'd be nice. Yeah, we'll both be there, and it'll be nice to meet some people who actually listen to what we do.
Yeah, meet some people that make us know, to let us know that we're not just sitting here talking to ourselves.
The only people I know definitely listen to this are in Canada and America.
Yeah.
So
I know
they'll
one
be
that
there.
listens to it in Bristol, but that's it.
So anyway, we will be reporting back from that. So we will go to that, and then the week after that, or the week after that, we will have a report back from it.
Yeah.
Telling you about the films that were on, which ones won prizes, which ones we liked, which ones we didn't, and things like that. So tune in for more of the same and everything like that. Yes. So thank you, Scott. Thank you to anybody and everybody who may have listened, watched, partaken, scratched their bum, poked their finger in the ear.
I know you. Do you know what? I know you said poke your finger in your ear, but for some reason my head thought you said poke a penguin.
Poke a penguin in your ear. Talking about that, someone was telling me penguin went into a pub. He goes up to the bar and he says, "Excuse me, mate, you see my brother?" He says, "I don't know, what does he look like?" So
Oh,
there
so
you go then.
stupid. I shouldn't have laughed.
Right. I will, we will, and I will, and they will, and everybody will. Until then, don't. We'll see you again. Bye.
Bye.
Sciforror Film Podcast.